Hello students, today we are going to start with part 2 of chapter number 6 of science, that is life processes. In the last lecture we have already studied about what do you mean by life processes, that is the basic processes which are required for the existence or the survival of life. So what are the basic life processes? That is, you will answer as nutrition, respiration, excretion, circulation, transportation, then reproduction, movement, growth, and so on. Then on in that we started with the very first basic life process, that is nutrition, and we also dealt with modes of nutrition. So talking about the very first mode of nutrition, that is that we have already studied in the first part, that is autotrophic mode of nutrition, wherein the organism prepares their own food, that is by the process of photosynthesis. And that is why in this part we are going to study the process of photosynthesis. Yes, now so talking about this photosynthesis, what do you mean by photosynthesis? Wherein this photosynthesis is a word which is derived from the Greek word. It is a Greek word. This is derived from Greek words wherein photos means light and synthesis means production. So photosynthesis means the production in the presence of light. Yes. So the production of what? The production of food in the presence of light with the help of chlorophyll or in the presence of chlorophyll by the plants. Now tell me, who can prepare their own food? So that is, the answer is green plants and the organisms such as algae as well as bacteria such as cyanobacteria, which possesses the green pigment inside their body. So the process by which the green plant, or we can say algae, which possesses the green pigment, as well as bacteria such as the cyanobacteria, or we can say the blue-green algae or blue-green bacteria, that is the cyanobacteria. Now here, so what is photosynthesis? It is a process by which green plants synthesizes food or synthesizes glucose from various inorganic materials. So by various materials, inorganic in nature, they prepare the food in the presence of chlorophyll and with the help of sunlight. So whensoever there is sunlight and whensoever there is the presence of chlorophyll, then and then only the plants will be able to produce their food. And this process of production of food in the presence of light is termed to be as photosynthesis. Now here, what is the importance of photosynthesis? We will see in the later part once we will study the reaction which actually happens in the green plant when the process of photosynthesis occurs. So here, so what will be the raw materials? The raw materials will be CO2. Yes. So what happens? The CO2 along with water, that is H2O. Yes. So in the presence of sunlight, yes, and along with chlorophyll. So what will happen? CO2 along with water in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll will help us in the production of glucose, that is help the plant in the production of glucose. That is, what will be the byproduct? That is glucose. Glucose is C6H12O6 along with the release of oxygen into the atmosphere. Yes, so here if we talk about the raw materials, that is CO2, water, and the help of sunlight and chlorophyll. So here what happens is CO2 reacts with water and forms the molecule of glucose. So what is this? This is, yes, we will write carbon dioxide along with water will help us in the production, will help the plant in the production of glucose and oxygen. Now here, where does this plant take the CO2 from? Yes, the obvious answer is the plant is going to take the CO2 from air. Yes. And where is the plant going to take the water from? Yes, so the water will be taken from the, yes, from the roots. From the soil. So with the help of the roots from the soil, the water will be taken inside the body of the plant. And yes, for obvious, from the sun, the sunlight, the sun energy will be taken up by the chlorophyll. Now we will study about chlorophyll in the next part. So here what basically happens in photosynthesis is the process of production of food or the production of glucose in the presence of light and chlorophyll. So do you understand the basic phenomenon? Yes. Now here if we talk about this, we will see that this is talking about this glucose. This glucose molecule, that is C6H12O6, is a form of simple sugar. It is a simple sugar which is being produced inside the plant body. Yes. Now this simple sugar can also get converted into complex sugar, that is starch. Yes. And starch is a form of, that is glucose is a carbohydrate, wherein this is a single molecule of glucose, single molecule of sugar. When so many molecules of this glucose combine, it forms a complex sugar, that is starch, and this starch is insoluble in nature. Now this starch here get reserved in the plant body in the form of, this starch is also being eaten by the animals. This sugar, this carbohydrate are also being eaten by the animals, wherein in our body this is being stored in the form of glycogen. Yes. Now here this starch can also get converted into cellulose. Yes, and this cellulose forms the structural part of the plant, wherein the cells of the plant are made up of cellulose. Yes, so here what is the basic phenomenon? That is CO2, that is carbon dioxide, reacts with water in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll, producing the molecule of glucose with the release of oxygen gas into the air. Yes, and this glucose is a simple sugar. Which kind of sugar? It is a basic simple sugar. Now this simple sugar can also get converted into its complex various forms, such as cellulose, starch, and so on. And whensoever this glucose is being taken inside the body of the animals, it gets inside the body of the animals, and wherein it forms, wherein in our body, in the animal's body, it is being stored in the form of glycogen. Do you understand this? So here hopefully you have understood then what is photosynthesis. Now here what is the importance of photosynthesis? So all of us know that it is helping us to produce the glucose. Yes, and it is also releasing an important element in the air, that is oxygen, without which we will not be able to survive. Yes, so the importance lies in the production of the food and the production of oxygen which is required to breathe, and the raw material, as you know, are CO2 and H2O. Do you understand this phenomenon? Yes. Now, whensoever we will move on to some details, that is, suppose if this is a basic leaf, this is the structure of the leaf, suppose say. Now here this can be indicated, that is, this is being indicated as the leaf margin. This is said to be as the midrib. Yes. These are considered to be as the veins. The open portion of the leaf is termed to be as nothing but the leaf lamina. Now suppose if someone is taking the section of the leaf, yes, and viewing this section, suppose if I have taken such a section of the leaf, and if I want to modify the section of the leaf, if I want to zoom in the section of the leaf, I'll see it under the microscope. And how am I able to see that? Something like this. That is the section of the leaf when viewed under the microscope, the cross section of the leaf. This is basically what? The cross section of the leaf. And how is it visible inside the microscope? Something like this. Now here we will see what actually they all mean. That is, can you see the upper layer? Yes, whensoever you touch the leaf, yes, whensoever you touch the lamina of the leaf, you find it waxy, you find it that it is covered with some kind of layer. So that is nothing but the cuticle layer. Which layer? The cuticle layer, the waxy layer on the surface of the leaf. So here can you see the cuticle layer? Yes. Similarly, at the lower base, the base of the leaf, also you will find the cuticle in some plants. Now here, can you see the cells above here exactly below the epidermis? So this is what, whensoever you take the section of the leaf and view it under the microscope, you are being able to understand, you are being able to see the front portion as well as the below portion. Barabar. Now here, what happens? The first layer of the cell, they are nothing but the, we have already studied, this is epidermal cell, that is upper epidermis. And similarly, below also we will find the cell which is termed to be as the lower epidermis. Now here, exactly below the epidermal cells, we are going to find some cells which are termed to be as the palisade cells, and these cells are termed to be as the spongy cells. Now as you can see, the palisade cells as well as the spongy cells are lying in between the upper layer and the below layer, and therefore together this portion is termed to be as mesophyll. Mesophyll as in meso, that is between, and phyll, that is leaf. So the cells which are present in between the upper and the lower portion of the leaf. Now here in the lower epidermis, can you see some space remaining? Yes, yes. So this space is nothing but the cells that you can see here. The cells that you are able to see here are nothing but the guard cells, and the pore that you can see is nothing but the stomata. Now here, after getting the basic understanding, or how does the cross section of the leaf look like? This is what? This is the cross section of a leaf. So after understanding how does the cross section of a leaf look like, we will understand what are the basic 3 steps that takes place in the process of photosynthesis. So we'll be keeping this here. So first of all, what are the basic events that takes place in the process of photosynthesis? So here, the very first one is the absorption of the light energy by the chlorophyll. So yes, here. So what is the first step? That is the absorption of the light energy from the sun. By whom? By chlorophyll. So here something like this. That is, the green leaves will absorb the energy from the sun. Yes, that is the first step, that is absorption of the light energy by the plant cell. Now here talking about this chlorophyll. So where is basically this chlorophyll present? Now here these are the cells of the, when we have taken the section of the cell, there are various cells. Yes, inside the body of a leaf, inside the part of the plant, that is, it is also made up of cells. So this cell, suppose this is the basic cell. Suppose this is a leaf, and this leaf, we are talking about a cell of the plant, that is, suppose say something like this. Yes. Now this cell this cell has various suborganelles, and one of the organelle, as we all know, which plays a very important part in the process of photosynthesis, is nothing but the chloroplast. It is what? It is the chloroplast. Now can you see the chloroplast, the dotted structure which are shown inside different cells? Yes, they are nothing but the green structure which are termed to be as the chloroplast. Now this chloroplast, suppose we zoom in the chloroplast, this chloroplast, as we have already studied this in chapter 9, standard 9. Yes. This chloroplast has different structures such as stroma and grana. Now talking about this grana, it has the pigment which we are talking about, that is chlorophyll. Now this, so what is the first step? That is, yes, what is the first step? That is the absorption of light energy by the chlorophyll. So whensoever there is sunlight, so what will happen? The leaf which is exposed to the sunlight, wherein the leaf is made up of many cells, yes or no? Yes. So suppose we take a particular cell wherein the cell has the suborganelle term to be as chloroplast. Now the chloroplast looks something like this. Now the chloroplast has also subparticles such as suborganelles, we can say, or the particles which are termed to be as which are termed to be as grana, and this grana contains nothing but the pigment which is termed to be as the chlorophyll. Do you understand this? So we can recall this one more time, that is, the plant is made up of leaves, and the leaves has many cells, and the cells, suppose if we zoom it like this, the cells, the plant cell has the suborganelle chloroplast, and the chloroplast has different part, it is made up of different parts. Suppose this is the chloroplast, and the chloroplast has stroma, the liquid portion of the this chloroplast, and we can also see grana, and this grana, this stack like structure, this stack-like structure contains the pigment chlorophyll. So the light energy is first of all absorbed by chlorophyll. Now what happens when once the light energy is absorbed by the chlorophyll? Now what is the function of this light energy? Now this light energy is going to get converted into chemical energy, and is going to split the water molecule. So we have already seen that the sun energy is being absorbed by chlorophyll, and this sunlight energy, that is the sunlight, is going to get converted into chemical energy. This chemical energy is then going to split the water molecule. Yes, splitting the water molecule into hydrogen and oxygen. Do you understand this? Yes. So what is the first step? That is absorption of the light energy, absorption of the light energy by the chlorophyll. Barabar? Once the chlorophyll has absorbed the light light energy, it will convert it to chemical energy, and this chemical energy is going to split the water molecule into hydrogen and oxygen. Do you understand this? Yes. Moving on to the last part of the photosynthesis, that is what happens is reduction of CO2 to carbohydrates. What will happen? The reduction of the CO2 to carbohydrates. So what is that? So that is once the hydrogen and oxygen has splitted off. Yes, the hydrogen will get added to CO2, and we already know that addition of hydrogen to any of the element, any of the molecule, any of the compound, it is termed to be as nothing but the process of reduction. So the third step is nothing but the reduction of carbon dioxide by the addition of hydrogen. So this hydrogen will get added to CO2 and it will form the molecule of glucose. Do you understand this? And the oxygen that has been released over here. So this oxygen, where does it comes from? Does it come from CO2 or does it come from water? Yes, the answer is that is it comes from water. By the splitting of the water, the oxygen that is remaining, it gets released off into the atmosphere. So do you understand all the three steps? That is, what are the events in photosynthesis? Yes, the very first one is absorption of the light energy by chlorophyll. So the light energy will be absorbed by the cells. Inside the cells we have chloroplast. Inside the chloroplast we have small stack-like structures termed to be as grana, and inside this grana we have the chlorophyll. So this energy is going to get absorbed in the chlorophyll. Do you understand that? By the chlorophyll. So once the chlorophyll has absorbed the light energy, yes, can we absorb the sunlight? No, we cannot, because we do not possess this pigment. We do not have chloroplast itself. So therefore we are not going to have chlorophyll too. Now once the light energy is being absorbed by the chlorophyll, what is the next step? That is, yes, conversion of this light energy into chemical energy. So this is the second step, and this chemical energy is going to split the water molecule into hydrogen and oxygen. It is going to split this into hydrogen and oxygen. Now, and what is the third step? That is reduction of CO2 to carbohydrates. That is the CO2 here. The CO2 is going to get reduced as in term, hydrogen is going to get added into it, and therefore this CO2 will get converted into the glucose molecule. Do you understand this? Which is a simple sugar. Do you understand this? Yes. And the oxygen is released and it goes to the atmosphere. Yes? Fine. Now here, yes, in this part, in this section, we also studied that there are pores on the lower epidermis of the leaf. Yes, can you see? Yes, there are certain plants wherein these pores are also present on the upper epidermis, but for now we'll be studying that this pores, which are termed to be as stomata, are present on the lower surface of the leaf, on the lower part of the leaf. And why are they not present over here? If they were present over here, then that is on the upper part of the leaf, then so much of water must have get lost, because the plant keeps on standing in sunlight. So in order to reduce the transpiration process, they are present on the lower surface of the leaf. So for now we are going to study the stomata. Yes. Now here, we already talked that during the process of photosynthesis, CO2, yes, combines with water in the presence of sunlight, and with the help of chlorophyll, what is produced? Yes, a molecule of glucose is produced. along with oxygen. Now here we all know that the water enters into the plant body with the help of the roots. Now here talking about CO2, where does the CO2 enter inside the body of the plant? Yes, so the answer is through the stomata. If we talk of stomata, what are actually stomata? We have already seen over here, they are pores. They are nothing but the pores. Yes. So if we talk of this stomata, they are nothing but the tiny pores present on the surface of the leaves. Now, talking about the stomata, it is derived from a Greek word which means mouth. Which means what? Mouth. And it is not only present on the surface of the leaf, but this pore-like structure are also present on the stem and the other parts of the plant. Now, here talking about the stomata, what is the main function of the stomata? It helps in the gaseous exchange. What does it do? Gaseous exchange. That is, we have studied that this green part of the plant, that is the leaf, take in the CO2 and releases oxygen. Yes or no? So the taking in of CO2, the releasing out of O2 happens in our body, that is happens in the plant body with the help of pore like structure which is termed to be as stomata. That is, we have mouth for taking in oxygen and releasing out CO2. Similarly, this plant has the specialized structure, that is the leaf, as well as the leaf has a part which is termed to be a stomata, the pore, which helps in the gaseous exchange. What does it help in? It helps in the gaseous exchange, that is taking in the CO2 inside the leaf body and releasing out the oxygen from the leaf body. Now here talking about its structure. Talking about what? The structure of the stomata. Now here, it is basically nothing but a pore. But how do we draw this? Now, talking about this, these are also nothing but the cells, and therefore it is also going to have vacuoles, chloroplast, the nucleus, and all the other organelles. Now, this pore along with the epidermal cells, these are nothing but the epidermal cells which seems to be kidney in shape. How do they look like? Kidney shaped. Yes, something like this. So these are nothing but the kidney shaped epidermal cells which surrounds a pore. Yes, and this is termed to be as stomata. Now these cells are in turn surrounded by various other cells which are nothing but termed to be as the subsidiary cells, which are termed to be as nothing but the subsidiary cells. And the cells, these are also the epidermal cells. These two, which are kidney in shape, are also epidermal cells, the cells of the epidermis, but are termed to be as the guard cell. The name itself tells us that this guard cells, the two guard cells, the kidney shaped guard cells, do nothing but they guard the stomata, they guard the pore, and they regulate the opening and the closing of the stomata. So here, if we talk about this, the inner wall is quite thicker. Yes, the inner wall of the stomata of this guard cell is quite thicker than that of the outer cells, outer boundary, outer membrane. Yes, so this is quite thicker and this is quite thinner. So here, basically talking about the structure of the stomata, it is nothing but it is two kidney like cells which is surrounding a pore. Yes, do you understand this? They are nothing but the two kidney like cells which is surrounding the pores, and this guard cells regulates the closing and the opening of this stomatal pore. So that is, the closing and the opening of the stomata is regulated by nothing but this two guard cells. So whensoever they are filled with water, they'll be turgid enough. Yes, when they are filled with water, they'll be turgid enough and therefore they'll be opened. And whensoever they do not have sufficient amount of water, they will shrink. And whensoever they will shrink, then what will happen? The stomatal pores will be closed. Do you understand this? Yes, do you understand the structure of stomata? So here, the CO2 which is being taken inside the body of the leaf and the oxygen which is being released out of the body of the leaf takes place with the help of specialized pores which are termed to be as nothing but the stomata. And the stomata is nothing but pore which is being guarded by two cells which are kidney in shaped in dicot, and they are dumbbell shaped. They are the shape of dumbbell in monocots. Yes, so for now we'll be studying about this kidney shaped only. And here the opening as well as the closing of the stomatal pore is regulated by nothing but the guard cells, and the cells which surrounds the cells, the guard cells, they are also epidermal in nature. They are the epidermis cells which are termed to be as the subsidiary cells. Do you understand this? Yes or no? Yes, please go through the diagram once. Yes. So in this chapter, in this part, we have studied about the process of photosynthesis, which are the inorganic material that the plant uses. Yes, CO2 and H2O. Yes, where is chlorophyll present? That is inside the chloroplast. What is being produced during the process of photosynthesis? That is glucose, which is a simple sugar. Too many molecules of glucose can combine together and form this is termed to be as nothing but the carbohydrate. These are one form of carbohydrates. Yes, so this is the simple sugar which can also form complex sugar. Yes, and whensoever we take this glucose in our body, it is stored in the form of glycogen, and in the body of the plant it is stored in the form of starch for future use. In our body it is stored in the form of glycogen, and in the plant body it is stored in the form of starch. Yes, talking about the main events in the photosynthesis process, that also you have understood, and the absorption of CO2, that is where does it takes place from? So it takes place from the stomata. Now here, one thing that is remaining is the balancing part. So if we talk of this, it is balanced by a very lucky number, that is 6. Nothing now here, can you see 6 carbon over here, 6 carbon on this side? Yes. Talking about the hydrogen part, we have 6 2s are 12 hydrogen. Here also we have 12 hydrogen. Talking about the oxygen, 6 2s are 12 and 6, that is 18. And over here also we have 6 2s are 12 plus 6, that is 18. So this is the complete balanced reaction for photosynthesis, wherein 6 CO2, 6 molecule of carbon dioxide plus 6 molecules of water together forms only 1 molecule of glucose. How many molecules of glucose? Only 1 molecule of glucose, and releases 6 molecules of oxygen into the air. Do you understand this? And this is all for today, and we'll be moving on to the heterotrophic mode of nutrition in part 3 of life processes. Thank you.